Mm. Oh crap, everyone. Hello. Oh, see, I already have a bunch of windows open.
Oh.
My bad. Oh, you can't hear this music, Dan, but I can.
Oh.
You can't hear this? You can't hear this?
I don't hear it at all.
You don't hear it at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
boy.
imagine it.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2019. 2019. What a big time for us, Dan. It's a very exciting time for us. My name is Tuong. Welcome to Talkin' Tuong, first episode of 2019 with special guest Dan Foerster, everyone. Dan.
Hi.
Dan, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been since what, yesterday? Since I've seen you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
But
I've been counting the hours.
It's been too long, if you will. Now, Dan, Talkin' Tuong, do you know anything about this show? Of course you do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I watch it here and there.
You watch it every day is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Talkin' Tuong is the show, folks. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, Talkin' Tuong is a Facebook Live interactive streaming event. Let's call it an event. Yeah, it's an event.
It is an event, yeah.
Every month we have this special event where me, Tuong, talks about the 3 hottest topics that came out in January. Now, one of our topics today came out in December, but that just shows how dry January was. But yeah, I try to, we touch on like some of the big stuff that's happened, but we really just try to distill it into 3 topics for you and just share it with the people on Facebook, our Facebook Live account. And, we try to talk to the audience if they have any comments, concerns, or they just want to shoot the shit with us.
Yeah.
Good time for us at the Pod Cavern to hang out with people at home.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of times you can't just hang out with us in person, and we're really big celebrities.
Yeah. We got signings
to do. Yeah, so it's a good time. You can hang out with us digitally, which is all the rage in 2019. So what we're going to do here, Dan, is we're going to introduce the topic. How's that sound? Okay,
Sounds
so
great.
Topics today are, we got Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which came out in December 28th, so close enough.
Close enough.
We'll
let it sneak through.
Yeah, like, I think I already recorded the last Talking Tongue by December 28th of last month, so I'm just going to say I did.
Yeah.
We have the new Dragon Ball Super Broly, which I'm very excited to talk about. And, of course, we're ending on a Marvel note, as we often do at this show, is with The Punisher, Season 2. They got a second season at The Punisher. We'll see if they got a Season 3, I guess.
Probably their last season.
Hey, we don't know that.
I think we do.
And, yes, people at home, if you're just on Facebook, feel free to interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. Just message away and come chat.
Yeah.
Come chat. We like that. First off, Bandersnatch. Here we go. So, Dan, I'm just going to pull up some clips in the background here. But I guess while we're getting started, what do you think about the Bandersnatch experience?
What do I think about it? So I thought it was really cool.
Actually, Dan, you know what? I messed up already.
Oh, okay.
Hold the phone.
All right.
We're rewinding. That's me rewinding. I forgot to talk about how quickly I forgot. I just want to jump into the show right away. But
you're an eager beaver.
I'm an eager beaver.
Yeah.
But I forgot to talk about the stuff that we won't be covering. I just want to quickly run down some hot news topics that came in January, and we'll leave it forever. Just bullet point things. Ready?
Okay.
Bell Let's Talk is today. Bam.
Okay.
That's something that, I don't really want to get into it because a lot of people have very divisive feelings about that for some reason. But you know what, Dan? Bell, let's talk. hashtag. Piranha Plant just came to Smash Bros.
Right, yeah. Excited about that.
Yeah, it was very fun. I just played him for the first time last night. Very fun. We have the new Spider-Man trailer that just came out. Thoughts really quick? Yes.
Like quick thoughts?
Quick thoughts?
Oh, I think it looks amazing.
I'm very excited.
really excited about it, yeah.
Some people are like, oh, it spoils things. I'm like, come on.
No,
you knew this.
You have to give away enough to I don't know, to get people excited, but I don't feel like I know exactly
Listen,
what's
everyone,
going on yet.
we know that Spider-Man was coming back. We just know this.
Like, they announced it, like, way ago that, there's going to be a second Spider-Man movie that takes place, like, literally, like, minutes after the next Avengers. So it was no big deal.
I'm very excited for Mysterio.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones teaser showed, like, a 30-second teaser. Everyone's just jizz in themselves, myself included. Very excited.
I haven't even seen it.
You haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
You're haven't jizzed yet.
Yeah.
Laura and I are watching through season. We're just trying to do all the seasons before the new season comes out. So we're on season 3 now.
You've watched it already, and you're just going through it again.
Please.
Okay, cool.
Dan, please.
All right.
This is probably like the third time I've done that.
Oh my God.
Third or fourth, I can't remember. A series of unfortunate events. The last season has just come out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the second one. I like that show.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the movie, but I haven't seen the show.
Neil Patrick Harris is a good. What's his name? I already forget his name. Olaf? Count Olaf. That's his name. Yeah, Count Olaf.
Yeah.
Tidying up with Mary Kondo took the world by storm.
Like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, dare I say, a disease.
Have you watched it?
I watched the first. Did we finish? Laura tried to put on the first episode, and I watched a good chunk of it, although I was trying to be distracted on my phone because I was like, I don't know if I like this. It's going to change too much of who I am as a person. But yeah, we actually fold our laundry like Marie Kondo now, so you can see.
Really?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. You have to thank your clothes. If you're getting rid of it, you have to thank them for their service. It's a real thing. Thank them for your service, and then get rid of it in your life. It's all about sparking joy. If you look at a piece of clothing, you're like, does this spark joy in my life? If it doesn't, you thank them for their service, and you move on.
GTFO.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is back. It was canceled and came back really quickly, so congratulations, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Fantastic show.
Yeah.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt has come back for its last season. Also a little quirky show that I like. Glass was about to be one of our topics this month.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was in a position where I actually never seen Unbreakable or Split. So I was like, I got to see those two movies before I see Glass. And then it just kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
Ran out of time. That's why we subbed in Bandersnatch instead. But I do want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard mixed things.
Yeah, I did too. One of my friends who saw it, who's seen the other movies, he really loved it. Like he had heard like kind of like mixed things as well.
Yeah.
And again, he just really thought it was awesome. So
great.
I don't know. I'm gonna take his word on it. I really do want to see it too. I want to see what happens after the other two movies because I did watch Unbreakable like years ago when it first came out.
Yeah.
And then I saw Split, and Split was. It was a really like awesome movie, like really disturbing kind of movie, but like just an amazing performance.
Yeah, a showcase of James McAvoy.
Yeah.
A Resident Evil 2 remake. I know you can go on this for a while, but looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks scary.
Yeah. I was actually scared, and I was playing in the middle of the day.
Yeah, well, you're a scaredy cat. So
I guess so. Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3 just came out yesterday. I've been playing that today. For those of you who are joining in on the stream earlier today, love it. Love it. I have lots to say about it, but we won't cover it in this episode. I mean, I've only played 2 hours of it, so I guess I don't have that much to say. I waited 13 years for that game. God damn it. A Dog's Way Home. I just wanted to mention that, remember that trailer with that dog? And it shows the entire
movie.
Movie? That should have been one of our topics, is that trailer.
Just the trailer,
It's like, I have a feeling he came home.
Yeah. I've seen that movie, actually. It's called Homeward Bound.
Yes.
It was made in, like, 1993.
You know, they're getting cheaper in 2019 because there's only one animal that is lost.
Yeah.
And back in the day, there was 3 animals.
And one of those animals was Michael J. Fox. So
yes.
This one
and
doesn't
one animal was a cat.
Yeah.
So. Something for everyone.
Yeah.
Young Justice has returned. I am very excited. I haven't seen any episodes. I'm kind of just waiting for all the episodes to pile up. But Young Justice is like one of the best DC shows ever. Only 2 seasons. Now it's on its 3rd finally. It came back. Have you ever seen it?
Oh, yeah. I've seen definitely solidly through the first season, and I think part of the second season as well. It's
Worth
great.
it. Worth it.
I love the animation style, like more adult stories in it too.
It looks like a kid's show, but it's way more mature than it looks. Sundance Film Festival, I think is this month. Yeah, it is this month. Okay. And lots of cool films are coming out this month, which I don't really know too much about, but it's a big festival, obviously. It's always like, here are the next batch of Oscar kind of bait movies for 2019 kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that. I jumped the gun so hard at the beginning of the episode, but now we're jumping back on the gun, I guess.
Jumping on the gun again.
Jumping on the grenade and talking about Bandersnatch here. Dan, Bandersnatch, thoughts?
So I really liked it. I thought it was like just the concept behind it would sound like a lot of fun. I like a lot of like video games that are this type of like, oh, you got to make a decision, you got to make it quick kind of thing. I like that it was available on tons of different devices too. Although,
can we talk about we have to talk. We saw Bandersnatch together, and it was complete bullshit because we were trying to watch it on the Apple TV. And like we start playing it, we're all cozied up. There's 4 of us, ready to watch this thing together. Couldn't wait, and then it just says this video is not playable on this device, and we're like, what? How is this possible?
I know, like, because I mean, really, you just have to be able to control something that can go like
left and right or click.
Yeah, and click, and you can do all of those things with the remote. So we were just kind of left with this like, what is happening kind of moment.
Very strange.
But whatever, we had a PlayStation to take over the reins, and so we were able to jump into
free plug for you, Sony.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know, Black Mirror Bandersnatch is part of Black Mirror universe, I guess. But and this is great because this is the first time I've interacted with Black Mirror in general. It's a show that I definitely have been told to watch a million times, and I do plan to for sure. It's
you really
definitely up my alley. But this one really intrigued me because it was a choose your own adventure type of style. I know you can't legally say that for this show. But it intrigued me because I'm like, wow, I can sit down with friends and do this together, possibly multiple times. Which I guess we can get into later, but I don't think you really can do it too many times.
Yeah, this one, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how long they took to make this movie. That's something I should have looked up.
Well, yeah, if we've got an opportunity, maybe take a look. But I had heard something that there was about like 5 hours worth of footage for this experience.
Yeah.
Now ours lasted maybe about like an hour.
An hour, yeah. It's supposed to on average be an hour and a half.
Yeah, I felt like ours. I was expecting like an hour and a half, and I think ours is maybe like an hour.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit kind of like
I
don't know, gypped or something that I didn't get that extra half an hour.
So here's some things I wrote here. Fun facts is 5 endings, 1 trillion story combos.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a thing that they wrote, and I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So very ambitious, obviously, of a title, and I hope a lot of, not a lot, but like more stories moving forward kind of takes. I'm surprised this has never been done before.
Yeah, like with the Apple TV.
You're just like in general, like this kind of, maybe it has been, and I don't know, but like I know in books they've done choose your own adventure, but in movies I haven't really seen that before.
Yeah, I think Netflix has got some other stuff that does have some decision making. Like I've been told, there's like the Minecraft story mode.
Thing,
but nothing like this type of experience. Like with something that feels more like a movie.
That's right.
Where those felt like more like games. I guess.
Like overall, I felt like this movie was like pretty. It stops before it gets really good.
Yeah.
So like you're like lots of intrigue, what's gonna happen, and then it just ends. And maybe that's just because that was our experience. Like we didn't. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here. So like I have in quotes here, the premise of the show is, in 1984, a young programmer begins to question reality as he adapts a sprawling fantasy novel into a video game and soon faces a mind-mangling challenge. So it's a big meta thing that's going on. And the choices are about 10 to 15 seconds. There's always 2 choices. Actually, sometimes there's only 1 choice, in which case I'm like, why did they give us 1 choice?
Exactly.
What else did we want to say about this, Dan?
Well, I just want to say, like, I love the setting. Like, I love the era it's set in. Like, it's set in the 80s. I love this about video game development. I love the music that they have, accompanying this experience too.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that like really click with me about this. But when I was first getting this description of what the story was going to be kind of like, I kind of expected a little bit more for the actual development of the game. Like I thought he would get lost more in like the decisions he has to program into the game, and maybe there would just be more choices based off of that. Like, did you want this in it, or do you have to do it like this? And it just kind of jumped a little too quickly for me to a point where they're just like, see, the game that he's making in this, like the game that he's making, that's what you're doing right now. It's like you're like smashing you over the head with it, and just like, okay, this could have been a little more subtle. You know, I don't know.
I agree. Like,
they focus more on that rather than like who he is as a character and the other characters.
Yeah, there's not really a crazy story development. They do touch on something, which, like about his past and his mother and stuff like that. But they like, sometimes you won't see that, I guess,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Let's see here. It does allow you to loop backwards a lot.
It does,
So
yeah.
like a couple times you can choose an option and it could be the wrong option. So you'll rewind to a previous story beat.
Yeah.
But they do it in a way that like it's not like you have to rewatch everything verbatim. It's like kind of like skips it a little bit to get to that story moment where you get to choose again.
Yeah.
But I know I've heard, and I'm just doing some reading. It's like if you keep making that mistake, something can change.
Okay.
And there is a secret ending that the developers like made and stuff like that. Apparently,
Yeah.
no one's watched it yet, or it's really hard to get to, or whatever it
really?
is. That's
Okay.
why the permutation thing is all weird because
Okay.
it's like if you watch some bits multiple times and some bits not, it's kind of funky.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. I find this
Yeah.
whole thing like such a cool experiment.
Yeah.
Um,
And there was definitely some moments where like I just were so genuinely funny or like really shocking as
Yes.
well. So it did really get a good response
very
out of me.
yes, some
And it's very memorable.
yes, very
Yeah.
memorable. Some really meta shit where like it's just like one of the choices is like say that Netflix is talking to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck is Netflix?
Yeah.
Or there'd be like a fight scene that breaks out because they're like, well, this should be more exciting, so let's do a fight scene. They
Yeah.
literally say that. And it's like, wow, this is really crazy and off the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really thought the power of this thing was like doing it with people. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think if I would have sat at home and just did this by myself, I think it wouldn't have been as much fun. I really liked
No.
it as like a group experience.
Yeah, I think I would have chose some more like ballsy decisions. I think the group that we chose are really kind of like safe decisions,
Yeah.
which turned out to not be that safe
Yeah.
a lot of the times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's pull up. I'm gonna look really quickly for the Bandersnatch flowchart. Now, people at home listening on audio, this isn't gonna play very well to you, but I really just wanted to show the people online on Facebook what this kind of looks like. Like this, what you see here is the flow chart. Like there's a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
And like especially earlier on, there's decisions that don't actually matter. The first decision you make, for example, is sugar puffs or Frosties. Whichever you choose, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like there's stuff like that, but then there's like decisions where you think they don't matter, and they definitely do later, and then they start looping into like what the characters were doing at the beginning of the story. It's super complex in that way.
Was there one that we thought was like a really simple one that would have affected it without?
It's hard.
Are we gonna
Yeah.
do spoilers here?
Well, we don't need to.
Okay.
I want people to experience. I think if
Okay.
you spoil this, then it kind of takes away from
Okay.
what the experience is.
Yeah.
But there is so like the whole point is you want to get 5 out of 5 from this game developer, right?
Yeah.
This like this guy who like ranks video games. Like what's that game show back in the day that like ranked video games and stuff like that?
Oh.
Is Battle of the Games or something like
Battle of the Game.
Does that sound familiar? Can't remember.
I'm trying to think of
Anyways,
one. Yeah.
I it's killing me. It's like a 90s show. Anyways, it's kind of like that where it's old school and they're just like rating video games on TV. And it's like, okay, you got 2.5 out of 5 or you got 0 out of 5.
Yeah.
There is a one variation where you actually get a perfect score.
Yeah.
Which I was very curious about. So I thought that was kind of cool. Last thing I want to say about this is Tuckersoft, their made-up company,
Yeah.
actually made a real website where one of the games in the show is playable.
Oh,
You can
okay.
download it. Nosedive, that thing that like super good developer made.
Yeah.
They made that into an actual game,
Oh,
which I
that's
thought
pretty
was
cool.
pretty
It
cool.
looked like a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good for its time kind of thing. But
Well, yeah.
Cool. Dan, shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's move on. Anything else you want to say about Bandersnatch?
Oh, you know what? Like, yeah, I think it's overall it's gonna get some mixed reactions from people. So
Yeah.
it just depends on who you're playing with and what overall your experience is. You might like it, you might not, but I think everyone should try it out. So
Yes.
if you've got Netflix, just try
If
it
nothing else,
Yeah.
If nothing else, well, not on Apple TV.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I think people should experience this thing once, at least once,
At
because
least once, yeah.
it is completely unique. Just it's very cool. Like there's so many problems with it, but if you like look at the background and what they did with it, especially with this flow chart that we have, like
Yeah.
it's so ambitious that you just have to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
yeah.
you gotta see it once and see it with people, obviously.
Yeah, even if you get like some sort of like shorter ending or something, just try it out.
Well, like this is a spoiler, not to you, I guess, but our ending was cut short.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ours was shorter than like a lot of the permutations that
oh, really?
that we could have had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting to me for me to see. I'm like, wow, what could we have done differently? And then you start looking through the lines, and then you start feeling crazy. So
I just know, like right before like our story wrapped up, we had like one decision or another, and I really was interested to see what would have happened if we did the other thing.
Yeah.
If it would have like kept going, or if it.
Well, you should look at this flowchart. Like that's pretty cool.
I should.
All right, people, we are going into Dragon Ball Super Broly. Oh my God, this is the first anime we've done on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I usually do like comic book stuff and other
there
pop
are a
culture.
lot of like anime movies that are like big enough to talk about.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It's the only anime.
Yeah.
You might argue it's the only one that matters in the world. Well, you don't have to. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of good anime out there.
There's a lot of good anime.
But Dragon Ball is near and dear to my heart. We probably will go into minor spoilers here, to be honest. For those of you, if you're watching this episode and, clicked on this episode on iTunes and stuff, we're getting into this. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to. This takes directly, I think it's 6 months after the Tournament of Power.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know for sure.
I don't remember. Yeah, exactly.
It takes after the last episode we saw of Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
And so that's really exciting. Finally, they make a movie that's actually canon and a sequel to what we've already seen. Fans of the series have. Oh my God, it's so hard not to look at this because
I'm like, huh?
Oh my God, I'm just lost in this animation, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm already lost.
Yeah,
I'm just already lost because so the power of Dragon Ball is like it's not ever terribly complex, but it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it's true.
Like this movie, if nothing else, is like just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Sure, there's problems. There's always problems. There's always loopholes in Dragon Ball. Story beats that don't make sense or whatever. They could have tightened up this and that, but like as a Dragon Ball thing, it's very good.
Yeah, it is.
Did you have fun with it, Dan?
I did. Like overall, I've had a lot of like. So I loved watching in the theater, but I did like kind of walk away with some like mixed feelings about it too.
Yeah.
A lot of it came from like my own expectations.
Okay.
Just from me, like not from any outside sources. Just kind of hyping it up in my mind a lot. I think what's helped me kind of turn that around a little bit is just rethinking about like the title of the movie. So it's like Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Yes.
And when I think about that now, it's just like this is Broly's movie.
Yes.
This isn't Goku and Vegeta's movie. This is Broly's movie. This is to learn more about him.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me kind of like resort through my feelings about it because like we saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Walked out, I was like on this high of seeing it, but then I was still like. I kind of wanted to know. I want to see what's going on with Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah.
Like where have they been? Since the tournament and everything. And so I was kind of let down. I was like, I didn't really learn anything new about them.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking more about it recently. I'm just like, this is Broly's movie, and we learned a lot about Broly.
You learned a lot about Broly. Like, for those of you who don't know, Broly is a character that was done in like the 7th Dragon Ball Z movie. He was just a random ass character, random ass Saiyan, the legendary Super Saiyan, and all he was just big beefcake.
Yeah.
Like a beefcake, no pupils.
Yeah.
It's really spiky hair.
Just yelling all the time.
Kakarot. Like his story was awful, but people attached to him because he was just like this big bulky guy who was just so powerful.
Yeah.
So he was so popular. They made 2 more movies about him, which sucked. Like they were really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The first Broly movie, it's watchable.
Yeah.
But the second and third movie are like, like they're really rough.
Yeah.
The third one is like him as like a goop. Like he's like a bio Broly. He looks like a swamp thing, and it's just like a weird.
Is he like a? He looks like a Godzilla villain or something.
No, he looks like
Mecha Broly or something.
He looked really dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, he was so popular that they're like, let's actually make this guy canon and like change his story because before he had nothing to him. He was just like a baby who, when he cried. When Goku cried, he made him cry, and that's why he was super angry. And then years and years and years later, he's just like, "I want to kill you because you made me cry as a baby." That's it.
Yeah.
And this movie, they spend so much more time developing this guy's character, like in a surprising way. Like Dragon Ball they don't usually spend time doing that.
No, not really.
Like
not
developing a character. Like
Yeah.
you don't get anything too surprising like on a regular movie standpoint but an anime and Dragon Ball standpoint, that's a lot of character development in this story, which I was really impressed about. Because he got banished to a planet instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I loved all that. Like definitely like the first I'd say like 20 minutes to half an hour of the movie, just like all that backstory. Some of it we've seen kind of before, and it's
sort
just
of, but they
retold.
fleshed out stuff too.
Yeah, they really fleshed it out, and just seeing, you know, the three of them, like young Broly, young Vegeta, you know, young Goku, and seeing their family, and just learning more about him being just like super powerful, even like as just like an infant.
Yeah.
And like that threatening, you know, King Vegeta, you know, and them having to exile him to like exile him to like this, like, you know, crazy planet where there's like
Vampa.
Vampa, yeah.
Vampa, yeah.
Just like so harsh, and like it's such a toxic environment there. I
right,
guess.
and his father is just like, okay, I'm gonna train my son that has more potential than your son into like this weapon to kill the king of Saiyans, basically.
Right, yeah.
But,
so he has that still like that kind of like berserker quality to him, but like, it's not. He's not just all that. He definitely has these down times.
Yeah, like they develop his character in a way that he like had an attachment to an animal on the planet.
Yeah.
He makes friends in this movie.
Yeah.
The newcomers Chilai and Pampa or something like that.
Pampa, nice.
I think it's Chilai and Limo.
And Limo.
Pampa. I don't know what they are. Maybe his like pet thing. That giant.
Pampa?
Maybe I thought the thing that he wears.
It should be called
Pampa's a great name. I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, this movie made $98.3 million worldwide.
Holy.
Like people wanted this
crazy,
movie.
Yeah.
It was so fun because like in the audience that we had, like there's not too many showings of this movie. Like we saw, you get to see one showing at this specific time, at the specific day, and then it disappears from the theater, and it might pop out here and there at random theaters. But our theater was completely packed.
Oh, absolutely.
People were clapping, people were laughing. I had a lot of fun. It was
me too.
people were just, it was great. It was good. It was a good group.
Yeah, it was a great group.
Need some help with the line.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
That goes on. That goes on.
The Mary Poppins thing was.
goes on.
Oh jeez.
You talk about Mary Poppins again? That
No,
was last month.
that was last
Let's get
month.
on track.
You missed it.
I'm here to talk about the Dragon Ball.
You were talking about the Dragon Ball? Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
If I were a betting man and
Hey, well, you introduce
let's
yourself.
be honest, I'm Jack the Leary.
Jack the Leary,
I
yeah.
turn the lights on.
Okay.
I turn the lights off.
Oh boy. Oh
Trusty
jeez.
Leary. Now, if I were a betting man,
Yeah.
and I'm a betting man,
Yes, you are.
I put my money on that Brady.
Brady, it's
That Brady
Broly.
character.
Dragon Ball Broly.
No, the goat. The goat. Brady.
Tom Brady?
Yeah, he's bringing it home this weekend.
I don't think he's anime.
I mean, Goku's alright, but I don't think he stands a chance of winning that Dragon Ball.
I think Tom Brady would.
Not his comfort zone.
I think you're thinking of the Super Bowl.
No, you got all confused. It's a Dragon Ball.
I think it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you don't got the education that O'Leary's got.
Okay, well, thanks for visiting.
I'll pick up my winnings from you after
Can you
our
turn
bet
on-
after the Super Dragon Ball.
One more time.
One more
Okay,
time.
thanks,
To
Jack.
get that perfect.
Oh.
I'll teach you sometime if you need it.
That was good.
Thanks,
It's
Jack.
been a real pleasure.
Hi, everyone. Jack the Leary. Once
Wow.
again. Oh, there you go. There you go. Once again, Jack the Leary has dropped in and uninvited every time, but
Always invited.
always.
And my, yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jack drops by,
Hey,
turns the lights on and off all the time.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess we all have different opinions on Jack. Where were we? And so yeah, box office $98.3 million, crazy. Animation style, we'll go through it really quickly here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's striking, you know? Like when you first saw the trailer, it's a very striking visual. You know,
Yeah.
they spent a lot of money on this thing probably.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's cool because it's like, how do you make the animation of Dragon Ball different and interesting again? And I really, really liked it. Now, we have different, well, actually, we probably have the same opinion on this. They do blend in 3D effects.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Some, and what I wrote here is some in non-offensively, like 3D, like it's there and it looks fine. And sometimes it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, like I don't think I've actually ever seen like any sort of like anime that's done in that like 2D 3D style that I actually really like.
Yeah.
It like I can palate it in
Yeah.
certain things, but like I've never been like, Oh, you know what would be great right now?
Yeah.
If they just did that 2D 3D thing, this would make this scene so much
There
better.
were some parts in here where was pretty impressed about the 2D 3D like implementation, and then there was other parts in this movie which I was like, man, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like when this is not a spoiler, Broly kind of like makes this whole destructive thing where the whole planet looks like a volcano, and you're like, wait, what am I watching? Because it all looks funky, it looks kind of wrong. And then there's other parts where it looks like it came from like the Dragon Ball Fighter Z video game.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, why did they choose that?
That's what I always feel. Is it always looks like it's like, oh, we're not watching the show anymore. It's video game time, and we have this 3D effect.
But the base animation, like what you see here, and for the most part of the movie, and for I would say 90% of the fighting, like beautiful.
And there was like, and I'm always like really critical of like animation style, and I guess. I guess the overall style and then how well it's animated. Like those are the two things, like the style and the fluidity of the animation. I'd say throughout most of the movie, it looks really good, and it's well animated. I did notice like a couple different kind of variations. There's at times I'm gonna get a little bit nerdy about this, but like very clean lines, like very like just straightforward clean lines, and that can look really good. I've noticed them do that a lot on Super. And then there's times, kind of like in this scene, if you're looking at it right now, a little more inky looking lines. A little, not quite as just like straight, like very kind of scattery, kind of inky kind of looking.
Okay.
Which also really looks good too. Definitely looks good when they do those like really hyper close up shots of like Broly, like kind of like this where his like eyes are looking like crazy. Like that style fits really well for that. And then the clean lines fit really well for scenes like where they're just kind of talking. And,
I think it's cool because like that's Dan the artist, everyone. He knows a lot. But there's a lot of like more facial animation going on in this movie where you get to see like, I don't know, you just to see more like emotion from their face just because the way their face is like, kind of like animated. It's just
to talk about that, like hopefully again this isn't really a spoiler or anything, but that one scene of Goku like face against the glass, I've never seen him drawn like that before. We actually see like his nostrils like that. Like I love seeing stuff like that. Like it was great, like facial stuff going on.
It was cool. Like this movie was so fun. Let's see, we'll just breeze through here. We more story about Bardock, Goku's dad. First time seeing Goku's mom. Spending a lot of time setting the stage before the big fight. So like basically this whole movie is one big fight. Essentially what it is. And like the first 20 minutes is not really any fighting at all. Like it's just set up for Broly, set up of like Goku's dad, which they do a really good job with that entire thing up until the very end where they kind of just skip it. They're like, you know the rest. Which I was like, okay. We see mini Raditz, which I thought was really funny.
That was hilarious.
Really fun thing there. We have a smaller cast in this movie, so like you have just all the important players for the most part. You don't get Gohan, no Krillin, no any of those characters. You see Goten and Trunks.
Any of those? Like, were you kind of like, oh, it would have been nice to see somebody?
No. When I was done with the movie, I was like, that was a good choice. Because like a lot of the movies that they have, those characters just bloat the movie. Like they're just there because they just tag along. But at the end of the day, you just want to see these two fight the main bad guy, right? It's like, I mean, it's nice to see Piccolo. Like those kind of characters. Like I thought that was really great.
I was a little sad I didn't see like Gohan, but
it's fine. But he's probably like studying or like being a dad. Like
he could be. And like I agree with what you're saying. Fewer characters makes for like a tighter overall experience. I do get that.
And this is more emotional to these two, right? Goku and Vegeta and Broly. Right,
because they are like the pure blood Saiyans. They did come from Planet Vegeta.
Exactly.
So I guess that makes more sense too, just to keep it about them. I would still love, as they follow up with Super, just to see some more stuff with Gohan though too. Hopefully
Gohan gets better. I said Vegeta's my boy. He always has been, always will be. Vegeta's the best. First time seeing Super Saiyan God Vegeta, which was cooler than I thought it would be.
That was cool. I loved the way he looked. Like, they carried over that kind of lean style.
And they look... It's so weird. They're leaner, and they also act very different in Super Saiyan God, but it's weaker than Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is the blue version, and where he just acts normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like... I don't know, like when they're in the Super Saiyan God form, they're like, huh. And then they have like barely any facial animation, but it's all like cool guy type shit.
Yeah.
Like I can kill anybody kind of thing. And then when they go to Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, they're just kind of like doop doop doo. I'm
Yeah.
like I'm strong again, and
Yeah.
like it's very strange. Let's see here.
But leading up to that fight, though, like where he went Super Saiyan God, I don't think he was in that form yet. But when he was just like his arms were crossed.
Oh, they showed a couple clips of that.
Oh, that was so cool.
As soon as
that was so
yeah,
cool.
Vegeta.
Yeah.
That's why I said Vegeta's my boy.
That might have been one of my favorite points. Of the
Yeah,
movie.
when as soon as I saw like him get punched and then Vegeta smiling, you're like this is the best movie ever.
Yeah.
it's best Dragon Ball movie they ever made for sure. No doubt about that. Let's see here. Frieza murdering Paragus was funny. That's kind of a spoiler, but whatever. I'm not really that concerned about spoiling Dragon Ball because if you Dragon Ball, like I feel like you can say a bunch of stuff, but really you're in it for the visuals.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's see here. Frieza in this movie is really funny.
Oh yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
I love that joke.
I love
him.
Yeah.
It was really good, yeah.
They do a lot of. There's a lot of good humor in this movie.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah, there was the humor with that, with Bulma, with I don't think we haven't gotten to it yet, so I won't say the one thing.
Just say it. Just go
The
ahead.
fusion dance.
Oh, fusion dance. Yeah. We see Gogeta finally. We talked about this before the cast, but Gogeta is finally canon to the series. That's a big deal. I'm worried that they're gonna rehash this entire story in like a 20 episode arc in the next thing.
You know you'll watch it though.
I'll watch it, but I mean they might have to because if Gogeta's canon, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Although just knowing like Vegeta's like personal like take on like fusion, he doesn't want to do it all the time, so it's like
it's more of like a life or death kind of thing pretty much.
Fat and skinny Gogeta, great fan service there. Music goes from pretty cool to pretty bad, is what I wrote.
That was one where it needed some retooling. Yeah, it was
the music was like if you just listen to the music, like the sound, very very good. It's only until they start adding lyrics to some of the music where you're like, okay, this is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like because they're saying stuff like go like there's
So when Gogeta gets fused, they go Gogeta. Gita, and I'm like, oh no. Let's see. I feel like we're nerding out real hard right now.
Yeah,
which is the whole point of the show.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the whole point of the show. Goku meets with Broly, wanting to fight him some more. I don't know what I meant. Oh, that's at the very end of the movie. It's just one of those things that Goku has that I'm gonna fight you again one day, and like after like fighting a really bad guy, he somehow always gets them on their side afterwards. It's just like, oh, I guess Goku's not so bad after all. It's always the same.
I guess the only one you could say that still hasn't quite come over is Frieza. But he kind of has. After the tournament.
Fighting is the best it's ever been. High adrenaline. I think best Dragon Ball movie story they ever put out. Flaws, but so fun throughout the entire thing. The flaws would be like just minor gripes here and there. Like I don't like the 3D animation thing, some of the music choices they have. Like I would like to see some more fleshed out parts here and there, but overall like it's just a fun time.
It was, yeah. Now, one thing I want to still bring up with Gogeta, do you think they should have just like not shown it in the trailer? Wouldn't that have been much more like
oh
my gosh,
but it's like trailers, they fucking spoil everything, especially Japanese trailers always.
They want to get your butt in the chair, so I think that's why.
And the butt in the chairs, we were there. That doesn't make sense. You know what I meant. An Ultra Instinct cameo is what I wrote, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, Goku.
It was like a little flash, right?
I love that. The only thing I was missing from this movie is like a Goku Super Saiyan 3 transformation, but it's just such a
3.
I just want to see it. I just want to see it. Like it's just such a over the top animation.
Yeah.
Such crazy hair, but
and
it's just like
really use it that much, did he?
He did in the Boo saga, but it's just like it's just you don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just so much more. I think the animators are like, this takes too long to draw.
Too much hair.
Too much hair. Let's calm it down here.
Yeah,
so
we'll just switch between colors now, guys.
Yeah. Fun time. Also, new powers in this movie too. I found like Goku being able to stop someone moving.
Right.
It's like, whoa, this is cool.
That was cool.
Yeah. Anyways.
One thing I want to still add on, just kind of going back to Vegeta and his character in the movie and like just kind of further development with him. This is what I was going to say earlier to you. So like the anime series is on pause until they can kind of catch up. They did the Broly movie, so there's no more super episodes until they can kind of work on it. But they've been still working on the manga story. And apparently in the new arc that's going on, they have to go back to Namek, like to New Namek or something. Oh. And the thing I want to talk about, just really, really quick, was that Vegeta brings up that he has like a bad past with Namek, right? Yeah. And like he with the original Namek saga, like he obliterated a village trying to find like a Dragon Ball, right?
So cool.
So when he was there in this new story, he ends up protecting like one of these Namekians. And he brings it up that like he has this bad past with them, and he's like kind of trying to make amends, and that he would protect any Namekian that would be in danger. Like he would be there to save their life. So just like again, further growth with his character.
Well, his character really has the best growth in the show. Like he's so much more interesting to me than Goku is. Like Goku is always fun and like and like he means well. He's real stupid. But he's like stupid at most things, but he is so badass and like he has like a big pure heart. That you always root for him. I mean, you should. He's awesome. He's Goku. But Vegeta is like the one that like they develop into such a more nuanced character, right? Like Goku's never kissed his wife apparently. That's what
or Vegeta. Goku's never kissed.
That's what he says in Dragon Ball Super. He's just like, Vegeta, you kissed your wife? Gross.
I do kind of remember that.
You're like, what? God damn it. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, we're breezing through this thing, eh? Let's go into Punisher. Punisher season 2. Okay, so what I want to do is start with a quote from the director or the writer from this.
Okay, let's hear it.
And this is a good sum of what he wrote here. If season 1 was dealing with the very personal story of Frank's wife and his family, season 2 was always about him finding a new fight that he didn't have to take, but chose to, and realizing that this is who he is and who he's always going to be. Perfect summary of what it's supposed to be. I was trying to find a way to word that. I'm like, oh, this guy knows. He wrote the thing. I'm not as eloquent as he is. That's why I'm not a writer. But let's start off with, did you enjoy this season?
I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same thing that I've said about every, I think, Netflix Marvel show. It's probably about, in my opinion, maybe like 2, maybe 3 episodes longer than it needs to be.
100%.
What ends up always happening for me is like I love it. I love the first episode, first 2 to 3 episodes are like so good, and then the story keeps going, and I want to know what's happening. But then somewhere around like episode 8, it's always like episode 8, 9, 10, where I go like, I'm like, what is happening? Why are things seem like they're just being dragged out so much, and then they win me back in like episode 11, 12, 13 or whatever, right?
Well, I found Daredevil season 3 as probably my favorite season of all the Marvel Netflix stuff. Like, did you watch that?
I did, yeah. I liked it.
I thought that one wasn't too... Like, that was the only one for me that didn't feel too long. Okay. I can see an argument for it being shorter. I always appreciate a tighter experience.
Yeah.
Although in Defenders they had 6, 7 episodes, and I'm like, they could have probably used a couple more.
The only time.
But yeah, I completely agree. Like this season could have. I felt it in this season where I'm like, there's so many parts in this season that dragged for me. Like I liked this season, but I wasn't blown away by it. Yeah.
So Punisher, right?
Yeah, Punisher. Okay. Yeah, Punisher. Like I just thought for me, I liked the first season more.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Yeah. I think I liked the first season more. There's some real good stuff in this season for sure. I still think my favorite appearance of the Punisher was just in Daredevil season 2. Yeah. Whenever I think of the Punisher, I'm like, oh yeah, John Bernthal is the Punisher. They wrote him so well, and every time I try to think of a scene, it's always something from Daredevil season 2. Well, that courtroom scene, that was so good. The prison scene.
The only other thing that yes, all those things, but from season 1, the carousel scene.
Yeah.
Which they bring up multiple times in this. But, that scene, I watched a couple times. Because when I saw it for the first time, I was like, this is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Spoilers for season 1. You should watch it.
Yeah.
But, Frank, the Punisher, just smashes his former best friend's face into glass and just keeps it there and just crushing him. And it's just such a hard watch to watch,
Yeah.
but like I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. I was like, this is crazy.
It's visceral, like it's so gross to look at, and then like the sounds of it all, it just like
I loved that scene. But in this season, there's nothing like that. I found like there was no like fight that I was like completely like whoa, like some cool moves here and there, but I don't know. It's definitely more. It's brutal. Like there's some brutal kills in this stuff. Lots of blood and lots of fucking stabbing people and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true. The only one I can really think of that was like really brutal, in my opinion, it wasn't even with Frank. It was with Pilgrim. Yeah. When he was in that bar, like that was pretty rough.
Yeah,
that was a good scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an interesting character.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second here. I'll say John Bernthal, first of all. Let's start with him. I think he's a fantastic Punisher.
Me too.
He's perfect. He's perfect.
When they first announced that he was the Punisher, I was just like, hot damn. Like, this is a great casting. I mean, I'm going to put it this way, though. Like, there's others that might disagree with me or with us, right? I've never read a Punisher comic.
I have. Yeah.
I watched like the Punisher with the
movie.
Yeah, the movie. The Thomas Jane Punisher movie. Yeah. But like I'm aware of like certain aspects of the Punisher character. I best know him from like the Spider-Man like cartoon show.
Yeah.
Because he made like a 3-episode arc in that. I think.
He started in that.
Yeah. So that's where I kind of best know him from, and from like other things I've read about him. But to me, when I think about Punisher and when I heard this casting, I was like, oh, this is great. Like he's perfect for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Punisher in this series. Like he's strong and he's brutal. But in the comics, he can either be dopey, like kind of just like I'm gonna kill everyone, or like just kind of like written very one note, like stone cold murderer.
Yeah.
Or the other one is like more specifically, the Punisher in the comics is more like I'm gonna kill everyone who's a bad guy, including metahumans and like all that stuff. Like this Punisher seems a little bit more grounded in his emotions. He's more like sympathetic. You root for him. He kills a lot of people, but they're bad people. So
and it seems like a lot of the characters in the second season, they if they knew him in the first season, they may have had problems with what he does in the first season. But by second season, they kind of come around. I felt like there's so many.
They're not okay with it, but they're like, that's who he is, and he's not a bad guy.
Yeah, like he has a code that he's working by. He was maybe a little more like kind of like that dopey or like just I'm gonna kill everyone in like in the second season of Daredevil. Like he seemed a little bit more like just angry, right?
But they explain that all away once he starts talking about his wife and kids and stuff like that.
Absolutely. But definitely a little more like that in that season. And then even I would say in season 1 of Punisher. Yeah. Season 2, they show more of him where he's like he's gonna let that person go.
Yeah, he's more vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I in theory I like all that stuff. I just don't know how like. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but there's 2 overarching storylines in this. Is like Jigsaw, which is his former best friend who killed his family basically, or was one of the people involved with that, heavily involved with that. And now and Frank left him alive after like putting his face through the glass, and now this guy lost his memory. Yeah. And also there's a new guy in town, John Pilgrim, that whole story. Yeah. Which is based on the Mennonite character, or loosely based, which I read into it. The Mennonite character doesn't seem very interesting. He's like very similar. He's Amish and he's very religious and he has a dying wife. That's about as much as the relation is here. Yeah. This guy's more like Christian, I guess, or like some sort of Catholic, I don't know.
Something like that.
But anyways, I just didn't think overall that those stories came together very well. Like it was like 2 separate stories, and then they kind of try to put them together, and they just never did.
They never really did. Just kind of like 2 events that just happened to be happening
at the same time. And that's probably what they were going for, but I don't think that's very interesting in that regard here. Yeah. Like
I was waiting for like to find out who was like, because when I was realizing that they weren't gonna like kind of mesh together quite well, I was trying to figure out like who was like the mini boss and who was the actual boss. Yeah. If we're thinking like video game terms, right? Yeah. And
well, the actual boss turned out to be a huge disappointment. Like I don't know. I guess we don't need to spoil it, but
maybe not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. let's see here. I saw once Billy Russo got into the picture with the, like Jigsaw in the comics, he looks a lot like Two-Face. That's what I looked up.
Okay.
Yeah, he looks a lot more like Two-Face.
Okay.
So when in this, he's just like, I'm hideous, I'm ugly. I'm like, he doesn't look too bad. Like,
No, yeah.
he's like, he has a couple cuts here and there, but he didn't look too bad. Like, I was expecting way worse.
I know, like, because they were hiding his face for so long, you know, especially with like such a like scary looking mask, too, like, which represented like kind of how he felt on the inside.
Yeah.
Like when they reveal, I'm like, oh, so he's still just handsome, like, and he has a couple scratches. Like, this has ruined his life.
Yeah.
Like, God, come on. Yeah.
I thought his character arc was very interesting. Like, I really like how they make him more sympathetic in this Billy Russo. Like, he truly forgets who he was.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know. I think they just flubbed it, man. Like, I felt like, for me, the most important, the exciting thing that I was looking forward to this season was, it's payback time.
Yeah.
It's this guy versus this guy. He shouldn't have left him alive. Shit's gonna go down between those two, and things are gonna clash. You don't actually see these two together, like actually fighting, like fist fighting. They don't do it.
Right? Yeah, they don't.
They don't do it.
There's firefights.
There's firefights, and a little emotional trauma.
Yeah.
But they're completely separate, and I was kind of like let down because with all the marketing, it just seemed like they were going to.
Yeah, well, I think the way you just described it is like perfect. Like, you're waiting for he shouldn't have left him alive. Yeah. He did.
And like all the promotional material, like they had them side by side, and you're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. So I was that to me that was a huge disappointment to me. Like I think that when they're together on screen, and they do that a couple times in this season, when they're finally together on screen, you're like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I want. And then it just disappears.
Yeah.
So.
I loved Billy Russo's character though in this season. Like, it was so cool. Like, first of all, the mask that he designs is like
cool.
so creepy looking.
Yeah, I like it.
It's super creepy. I love the design for it. So that's why I was a little disappointed when you get the reveal.
He's just like, he's a handsome guy.
Okay. But I love that he keeps wearing it too. Like, you know, he's just take it off and like, oh, forget this now. He does keep bringing it back, and it ends up being like a gang theme for him as well.
It was a gang theme. Like, that's his story. Is he's kind of lost, and then he recruits veterans to do crime with him, which I also think they could have done more with that.
Yeah,
like you don't see enough crime. You don't see.
It's done as like a hyper kind of cut, kind of like, oh, they're here and now they're here, and now we've got money.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, wait. So you guys didn't really make too much of an impact on this city.
Yeah.
Like, you guys stirred some shit, but like there's been like way more people out there who stirred more shit than you. So you're kind of just like a nobody robbing banks and stuff like that. It just didn't seem like much.
Got enough to go on a cruise or something.
Yeah.
But I also loved just the delivery of so many of his lines too. Like, especially
Ben Barnes, he's great.
Oh yeah. Like just when he's like frustrated with things and like feeling so much emotion, like just like scared in certain scenes and crying. Like, just his delivery of all this emotion was like really
that
well
actor
done.
was. He's so fun to watch. I thought he was way more fun to watch in this season than last season. Because he had way more to do in this season.
Very erratic, right?
Yes.
And the scenes where he's like just mad and like he's just like just booming out like these like commands and stuff. Yeah. Like, I loved his voice too. It sounded really good.
But I just wish, I don't know. I just wish they spent more time with him in The Punisher, I guess. Dumont, I'm not going to spend way more time on her than like 10 seconds.
Okay.
She's the psychiatrist that helps out him.
Yeah.
She sucked. Like, that's how I felt. Like, she was interesting, and then she was the same. She was just like, okay, I get it. You're this character. You're like Harley Quinn, but worse because you don't have any like powers or anything.
That's right. Doesn't even have like a bat. Or something.
She's.
Although that fight, the one fight, in the apartment was.
She's just kind of like, she's psycho, but she's not that psycho, and then she's just kind of like, she's whiny
a little bit.
Like, I don't know.
She was kind of an interesting character to watch. I felt because. But I get what you're saying. Like, kind of annoying though too. Like, when I first saw her, I'm like, okay, so I get who this character is and what's gonna happen here. There's still sympathetic parts of her story, and it did make for an interesting watch to kind of hear her story get played out.
Sure,
but again, I don't want to spoil anything, so hopefully you'll just know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that fight. And then what happens? I was actually laughing when it was happening.
Yes.
I was just like,
Yes.
"Oh, this is so
I know what you're
good
talking
for some
about.
reason." I don't know why that's cruel.
I think
I was laughing.
Let's talk about. Let's see. We'll breeze by this a little bit faster here. Oh, like here's the characters. I missed Micro from the first season. That guy.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh, and
I
they
was
finally,
waiting for him to come back.
They finally go
somehow.
back to New York, and you're like, okay, they didn't call him Micro because that guy's a good resource.
Yeah.
But they never do. You never see him. You never.
I think he wanted to like let him go.
I know, but it's just like that character was so much more interesting to me than the characters that they put in this season. Like Amy, the girl character that's supposed to be like his like daughter he's never had kind of character. She got better.
Yeah.
At first she drove me nuts, and then so the arc for her was that at first she drove me nuts, and then she got good, and then they just put her in a trailer. Basically put her in a closet for episodes.
Yeah, episodes
on end, and just leave her there, kind of like just doing her own thing. Sometimes not even showing her.
Yeah.
And then she comes back, and it's just like it's uneven. And then you have this emotional payoff at the end where they kind of come together.
Yeah.
And like I get what they're going for, but I never felt it.
Yeah, well, see, I felt it. Like, I felt like he was I felt like, Frank was genuinely, like...
he cared for her.
And he wanted to see her get out of this. He wanted her to, like, to own up to what she had done as well and, learn something from all this experience. But he just felt like she was still, like, this young girl, despite what she did. She's a young girl way in and over her head and just trying to survive the way that she knows how to, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. Like, it felt like, she was really super annoying at first.
Yeah.
And then she became very likable. And then, you're right. They just put her away
aside and then bring her back to the end.
Until, like, oh, we need her for this part in the story now.
Yeah, we need her to get captured or something. It's like,
tap you in,
Yeah.
So I felt like it would have been, I think, better if they were able to like use her a little bit more.
Yeah,
and see
me
her grow
too.
even further than she did.
I agree.
I guess what I was waiting for, and maybe I thought from first season with Micro that this would happen, or maybe with her character this would happen or something. But I remember in that Spider-Man show where they had the Punisher in it. It was him like out there doing the dirty.
Yeah.
And they had the guy in the chair, right?
Yeah, the guy in the chair. She was
Micro was kind of his guy in the chair in the
sure.
first season. I was maybe waiting for her to be the guy in the chair, kind of. Like they needed to have like the battle van and like someone watching out for him.
She never becomes that, and I think the whole point is that she shouldn't become that because he doesn't want her to be like.
He really didn't. I just wanted her to be that for the season a little bit more.
Right. Let's see. We got Madani. She comes back. She's all right. She has some good moments. I would say her character's more nuanced in this season. She gets more to do.
Yeah.
Kurt, his army buddy with the broken leg.
Yeah.
He comes back. I like him as an actor. He's pretty cool. Really I like his like moral compass. Strong moral compass. But there's so many scenes in that trailer.
Yeah.
Like, I found like it's just like a small space that you're like, all right, everyone hold up in the trailer, and it's just like Frank's doing his own thing, and we're all gonna whine about what he's doing.
And that's kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about how by episode like 8, 9, 10, it's like those are the trailer episodes.
Yeah,
it's just like
I know it gets
past this. It
gets pretty repetitive.
Yeah.
You got the detective from Daredevil. I already forget his name. But he plays a bigger role in this.
Detective from Daredevil.
Yeah, he's the black detective.
Oh,
he plays
Okay,
he's in Daredevil quite a bit.
I know what you're talking about.
So
I was thinking he was like a captain or something, but he's a detective. Okay,
yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So he's in this.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah. Well, I liked him too. Like, there's a lot of change with this character on how he sees things, especially by the end.
True. Yeah, his character arc was surprising for what it was.
I just want to rewind for just a quick second. So Donnie. So I really liked her this season, and she definitely the actress really portrayed someone who's really conflicted and just a little bit just broken and didn't get enough resolution from what happened in the first season. I think she played that really well. And when I'm thinking about really memorable scenes from this season, the scene where she was at Kurt's veterans group gathering and she does her little monologue, that was great. I had I'm getting tingles right now just thinking of that scene.
Chills.
Yeah. I when I was taking mental notes and the actual notes about my thoughts on this season, I wrote down Madani, veteran scene, amazing.
I glossed over her. I didn't give her enough credit. She's definitely way more nuanced and interesting to watch in this season. I did like her. But Dumont, I fucking hated. I couldn't, like that. Just slow down, my boy Billy.
Yeah. I was kind of like, again, I don't really want to say too much, but the way her character went, that's what I was expecting. And I really didn't want it to. I wanted to be wrong, you know.
I
wanted to. Like, shoot, you know, I'm right.
So, and that kind of leads me to the last thing about the last character we want to bring up, who should be one of the bigger characters, but so for me, just like confusing.
Yeah.
Is John Pilgrim.
Okay. Yeah.
And John Pilgrim is the other bad guy in this season.
Yeah.
But to me, he has his own. It's like he's in a different show, and they're just showing me clips of like what's happening with him, because a lot of times he's separate from what's going on in the show. And like I think I wrote earlier, but like once Billy Russo comes in the picture, everything with the Russians and John Pilgrim you forget about, like you don't care about. It almost seems like filler. But what the show wants you to think is that storyline is as important as the Billy Russo storyline, which I never felt. Like I was just like, I'm more interested. I want to see Jigsaw again. I want to see like if they come together.
Yeah.
And every time they cut to John Pilgrim, who's this, he has a dying wife. You eventually find out he was like a neo-Nazi type who's kind of like working for people that is exploiting his past like deeds of being a bad man.
Yeah.
And now he has to do it again. Like, it just feels like a different show when he's like on screen.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I really liked the character and I liked his backstory and I liked everything we saw with him. But you're right, it was competing against like, oh, what's going on with Billy though?
Yeah.
Like especially just how his character develops throughout the season. You just want to know more about his character and where that's all going to kind of boil to. Mm-hmm. So then you're like, oh yeah, but this is a Pilgrim guy though.
Pilgrim.
But if there wasn't this stuff with Billy, I feel that they would have had more time to flesh out his story and do even more of like.
They had so much time.
Thing.
They had so much time. They had 13 episodes to do this kind of stuff, but I think they spin their wheels not only with Pilgrim but with Jigsaw, like a lot of the same stuff, and you're like, and then suddenly things change. Like they could have sped up like Billy's rise to being a criminal. They could have sped up all of John's stuff because like his stuff's like I am not a fan of characters in TV shows who are bad guys but who just recite random scripture.
Yeah,
I hate that because like when I hear that, it's like if I was just thinking about it, like if someone comes up to me and starts saying random scripture, like I should know what they're talking about, and then walks away really cool, I would be pissed. Like, well, shall thou, God, shall smite thee and taketh your soul. What are you talking about? Like,
just like, just like walk away.
Take that. And I'm like, what? What did you say? And like this character does that a lot.
Yeah. So you're thinking like, again, hopefully this isn't like a spoilery thing, but so these storylines basically finish up in the last episode. Yeah. You're kind of thinking that one of those storylines could have finished up halfway through the season and then let the other character go.
That's what they've done with the other ones, and it I thought it didn't work back then, but this definitely didn't work the way it worked. Like to have it all tie up at the very end, like completely separated from each other, was messy.
I'm a big fan of like having I think like just like a little mini boss first, like something like that. Just another little storyline that happens to kind of show something about like your main like protagonist. Yeah. They learn something from it. Maybe they use that for what happens later on.
Because the whole thing with this guy was and I read about it from the writer, but it was just like this guy was supposed to represent who Frank was in season 1.
Oh, really?
And that story arc.
Okay.
And like how his arc ends is exactly how Frank begins his second season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't get that. Like
no, like I didn't either. I didn't really realize that that's who
like
he's supposed to be kind of like mirroring.
He's supposed to mirror Frank in season 1, and you're like, well, that's disappointing because I never got that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not like they didn't give him enough screen time. It's like they gave him the wrong screen time. I found like they gave him a lot of stuff on his own. Him saying random scripture. Him kind of. I don't know, stone face and just like shooting his gun. I don't know. It's just very strange to me.
And like I know, despite like what they showed with his past, like with the tattoos that looked like they were like cleared away.
Yeah.
Like the neo-Nazi like kind of tie-ins. I just didn't really feel as though he would actually be like a real competitor with Frank.
Yeah, and it turns out he is.
But Frank was what, like he was
Marine.
He was a Marine. Like he had like years of actual like combat experience
Yeah.
with multiple types of weapons. Like again, like I just didn't really feel like John Pilgrim would have that much experience that he could like compete in like an actual fist fight or like gunfight with Frank. But I don't know. He was still an interesting character to watch. Good actor, I felt.
I think, and that's fine. Like I think he's a good actor for sure.
Yeah.
I just didn't think. I don't know. His character wasn't fleshed out enough for me, and it's probably because the big bad of the entire last season, like the season, turns out to be the two Russian heads, and you only see them twice.
Yeah.
And like later in the season, it's like, and this is kind of spoilery here, but it's just like. The Punisher takes the two Russian heads' son as a hostage, and once I saw that, I'm like, wait, who is that guy, and how is this important? And like, it was super weird.
Yeah.
And then it turns out like
back to the trailer.
And it's like, okay, these two are now I finally understand. Those two are exploiting this guy to do all the dirty work.
Yeah.
But it took me 9-10 episodes to feel that. Like it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
That's too long.
Yeah, it was just it was that stretch again where again spinning the wheels for about 3 episodes where I was like, if I didn't have something like this, to kind of motivate me, I might have gotten a little bit tired and then like put it off watching the rest of it for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But because I felt a little more motivated, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get through these. I was kind of expecting like that little slowdown.
Yeah.
Overall, like great season still, like lots of fun.
It was good. It was good. I have a lot of gripes with it, but like overall, I enjoy John Bernthal as the Punisher so much that I can watch him be the Punisher. I just think Amy could have been better. Dumont could not be there. John Pilgrim should have been better. And honestly, Billy Russo could have been better. Jigsaw, like, he's so interesting to watch. Put him with Frank.
Yeah. Do you ever feel that all these Marvel shows, they've always been like this kind of like serialized thing where it's like we're telling one big story, right? I kind of feel with the Punisher, I would have liked a little bit more like kind of like Creature of the Week kind of thing, like
I see.
Maybe like still have an overarching kind of story
sure,
going on,
and then like
but I would have loved to have seen him like target like specific people.
Yeah,
I think he was researching.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
What are we here? Bloody action goodness. Yeah, we already went through. This guy, the same guy, writer Scott something I remember. The idea for season 3 would always be that we would meet him in middle. Okay, this is basically saying what would happen with Punisher if they got a season 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
The idea for season 3 would always be that we would meet him in mid battle against dark forces, and there's much less self-questioning and doubt going on. And then I think, what sort of trouble does that purity of thought get him into? That's even way more interesting. Like, now he's finally accepted that he's the Punisher.
Yeah.
Bloody. As ever with the show, we need the audience to root for Frank, so whenever we do a season, there has to be a person that Frank is fighting for. There needs to be someone whose life will be better for what Frank does, even if we question his methods. Like, this guy gets who Punisher is. Like, he understands who the Punisher is and how to make good TV. It's just, just how the whole story wrapped up was kind of strange.
I think for me, the reason I really felt so strongly that way, that like, I would have loved like a Creature of the Week kind of season where like every episode we see him like going after someone, almost like kind of like Dexter when Dexter was good.
Yeah,
like there's like a good villain that you're fighting like each episode with an overarching story. It was that last scene, like, and this is the last scene where they show him like with the guns, and
the trench coat.
Yeah, like that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that. And less sitting in a trailer.
He's lots of pining and not knowing who he was, which is fine. Like, it's good character development. It's just sad that we won't get a season 3, or hopefully we do. Honestly, like this whole Disney Plus thing, who knows where it's gonna go?
Yeah.
People keep saying like. The last thing I read, and it's been a while since I've checked in, but this whole Marvel thing, like, Netflix or Disney, no, it's Netflix, they own the rights to these things 2 to 3 years after it's canceled.
Okay.
So you cannot make more of this property for 2 to 3 years after it's canceled.
Okay.
I forget exactly how long. That's the last I've left off with it. I'm not sure if that's changed or not. So, like, in the perfect world, 2 to 3 years pass, and we get all these characters back on the Disney Plus platform. You know, like that'd be great, and they can continue the stories because obviously we got the great, like, really good actors to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if at that point it's like, well, now do we want to put the Punisher in the MCU or like whatever?
Yeah.
Like it's tough, right?
It is, yeah. It makes me a little sad because with this whole like Marvel Netflix and then Marvel switching to like to Disney Plus, like there was some like great casting with the Marvel shows on Netflix, right? Like Jon Bernthal as the Punisher, Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Loved him.
Karen Page.
Yeah, Karen Page.
She's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Oh, I love
Deborah
her.
Ann Will. Yeah.
Yeah, like for the most part, most of who they've cast has been really good. There's a couple people that you could.
We got Karen Page cameo in this season, which was okay.
That was good. Yeah,
that was good.
I like the shoes. Like that was a fun
the shoes
joke.
thing is good. She's so she's pretty corny sometimes.
Yeah,
which I kind of like about her. But
I'll be a little sad if they decide in a couple of years, or maybe if they can do it sooner or something, that they're gonna recast or something. Yeah. But they've made a lot of really great casting decisions anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, we made it. We made it to the end of the show. Wow, we've gone through a journey. I think. Really quickly, things you're excited for in February. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look about some things. Here's some things that I wrote down here.
Yeah.
Crackdown 3 comes out in February.
I've never played the Crackdown games.
Neither have I.
No.
But apparently it's like Xbox doesn't have a lot going on for it right now. Although I really think it will next generation. Just the way they're building this.
They're doubling down.
This Game Pass thing, I think is going to change everything.
Well, it's not only that. It's like I'm not up to date on this exactly, but they have purchased like a bunch. Or they've
acquired a lot of studios and stuff like that.
They've acquired a lot of studios.
Yeah.
I think what their greatest lesson has been from like this last generation of games is that we need great first person games.
We need first party games.
Yeah, first party games. We need that. We need those exclusive titles the way that PlayStation does.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many game of the year games that were all like exclusive games, right, for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump Force, which I don't think is gonna be any good at all, which is that anime game, but I think it's hilarious.
Because they have like Naruto characters.
They have Naruto. They have
One Piece and
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Is there any My Hero Academia?
Probably. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of anime characters fighting each other. It looks weird. Like the animation looks really weird.
I want to check it out again.
I saw some footage. I don't think it's gonna be a good game.
Were they like fighting in like Times Square or something?
Yeah, it looks super weird. Anthem comes
Yeah.
out. That's the biggest game that'll be coming out next month.
Yeah.
I probably will check it out.
Have you tried it all yet?
No.
Okay, so I actually did last weekend.
And?
So a friend of mine had like a VIP thing. He shared a code, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I played for like two sittings, both maybe about like an hour and a half each,
And?
to 2 hours. I did enjoy it. It was good. It was actually a lot of fun.
But
What I'm still gonna do though, is I'm gonna wait until the game comes out. I'm gonna wait for the actual reviews on it and hear what people on the internet are talking about it. There's a few YouTube channels I would go to try and figure out some more details about the game. But was it fun? It was definitely a lot of fun.
You had a good time?
It felt like I was Iron Man. Like, that's the best way to describe it. It's like, I felt like I was like Tony Stark. I jumped into like an Iron Man suit and I could fly around. I could hover. I've got all kinds of different guns that I can use with it too.
Yeah.
It's a great game to play with friends. There's mechanics to some of the fights, but from what we played, those mechanics weren't like super complicated. Definitely you could like change your tactics on the fly. Really good.
I'm very curious to see how. I'm curious to how it's going to be. I might pick it up right away, but I might wait. Depends what I'm playing at the time, or if I'm
PC, or are you going to pick it up on PlayStation?
PC. Master Race.
Okay.
And BioWare. Let's see. They've had a lot of flops lately, so
the last big one was Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah,
and I bought that like day one.
So
I was enjoying it, but it was
so they're on thin ice. They used to be the biggest company ever, and now they're very not well regarded. This could be the last game if it doesn't go well.
There are things that I don't like about what I saw, but the sheer fun of the gameplay was what overrode those.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have Lego Movie 2 coming out next month.
Yeah.
I am super pumped for that. How to Train Your Dragon 3. Both movies were my two favorite animated movies of that year. It was 2016 when those came out.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. Alita Battle Angel, I'm actually kind of curious about.
Me too.
I have a feeling it's not going to be good, but it could be okay.
So it looked really interesting to me. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, I never read the manga.
Then there wasn't really much buzz about it, but then more recently I've heard way more positive buzz for it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it could be a lot of fun.
It's got Christoph Waltz, so like that's something.
Good.
And the Oscars are next month too.
Okay,
so
cool.
Yeah, lots of movies to watch before the Oscars.
Is there like a big like Oscar like baby this year? Like one that like oh, of course it's gonna win tons, you know?
No.
What about
like
the Bradley Cooper one?
No, Stars Born.
Yeah.
I don't.
Think so?
It's gonna win like best song.
Okay.
Maybe best actress.
Okay.
But best movie, I don't think so. I have a feeling it's gonna be.
Black Panther is like nominated.
It
for
won't
a few
win
things,
best picture though.
Is it for best picture?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it
Okay,
won't win
cool.
best picture. I think that was like more like Oscars saying like we have diversity, like it's one of those things. But
Okay.
well, I don't know. Maybe I'm being cynical. Wow, Dan, we've gone through an adventure together tonight.
Oh my goodness!
I know
yeah.
we've been talking forever.
Oh,
Didn't even check the chat.
I think I lost like some weight. My muscles in my jaw here.
Dan, you have anything to plug?
Well, you can always find me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you can give me a like, or you can
give you a like.
Give me a like, or send me a friend request.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some more stuff up on the internet. It's in like 2019. It's more of a I don't know, like a, what do you call it, New Year's resolution to have more like stuff on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little bit of gaming, and I'll throw it online and like share little fun things.
Cool,
so
man.
I'm trying to do more of that.
Just checking the chat really quickly, and we'll scroll all the way to the bottom because there's so many comments. I can't scroll through them all.
Oh my goodness!
But Cheryl says,
Who's
"I
that?
love How to Train Your Dragon." Cheryl, I don't know who this person is. I don't.
Okay.
It could be your wife. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I have a wife named Cheryl. Maybe
It's
that's
probably
her.
her.
Yeah.
She just love the content. So cool. I love How to Train Your Dragon. I love it too, Cheryl. So
Yeah, me too.
yeah, maybe it's the same Cheryl. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
And we don't really have time to scroll through all the comments. So sorry we didn't have time to go through that all today.
Yeah.
But I love doing the show. My name is Tuong. And check out the rest of the podcast shows. We have ranked top 5 lists of stuff that don't matter, the Improv Punch-Up, obviously Talking Tongue, what you're listening to right now. New show, Cinema Saves the World, being announced officially on Friday, but for those of you who are listening right now, live, it's happening. Cinema Saves the World. With Justin Godley from Pull the Plug. We are going to watch movies for charity. That's the idea.
So
we're going to
cool.
do the Dark Knight trilogy first, so I'm very excited. Dan might pop by. We don't know yet.
I might pop by.
He might pop by later. Anyways, so with that, Dan, anything else you want to say before we sign out today?
Oh, just thanks for having me. It was a blast. Yeah, it was great. I'd love to come back.
Of course. All right. See you later, friends. Thanks for listening. Dan, dance. All right. Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye, guys. Like so bad at dancing. Like, hey.
Hey, ooh.
Hey, oh.